Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Hey, good Tuesday morning to you. Still here out in Edmonton. A good Tuesday afternoon to everyone in Winnipeg, Toronto, everything east of Edmonton, if you will. This is The Lock Shop. Matthew Iwanyk, Pat Gregoire from Coolbet Canada with you here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tune in iHeartRadio as well as those watching on YouTube. There's a lot to get to on the show today. Lots to discuss. But first, Pat, panic setting in here at EST Studio. We're doing the hangout earlier. Trev's not part of the hangout. He was just sitting in the other room, and we could hear his comments the entire time of just disappointment with what he's seeing. Canada, men's basketball. We're trailing right now against France at halftime.
Not just trailing. Canada's getting absolutely handled in every single facet. And the crazy thing about it is Wemby and Gobert only have those guys that are killing us. It's remarkable what is happening. There's just, no composure, no discipline, just a lack of killer instinct, something that I praised on this very program on Friday for having. Like, with the exception of SGA, there's no offensive punch happening right now, and I get it. One thing coming into this tournament, and even as the tournament has progressed, the lack of elite talent, as an elite big or multiple bigs. We kind of had a feeling that Canada would have some troubles during this tournament with the small ball lineup that they continue to roll out, but never in 100 years did I think it would be this apparent how much it's hurting them. And a big part of it as well is just the fact of the matter is they're just continuing to shoot themselves in the foot. There is still a lot of basketball to be played, but it's not looking good. I mean, looking at the live lines right now at Coolbet, they're plus 7.5 on the spread and plus 231 to win this game. So lots of work to do. We've seen SGA at points in this game and lots of points in this tournament. He can take over a game. But they need more than that, and they need some stops, and they have to stop parading France to the foul line. It just can't happen.
Yeah, 25-8 discrepancy when it comes to free throws for France. You look at the starters for Canada, like SGA, 13 points. He's doing great. But then Brooks, 0 points. He's 0 for 5 from the field. Powell, 0 points. RJ Barrett, only 3 points. Dort, 3 points. You go to the bench. Jamal Murray has 5 points, but there's nothing coming from the bench even here. So the shots aren't there. Canada shooting 33% from the field. France, 44% almost from the field. And, like, as you said, Wemby and Gobert, it's not them. Cordinier, Yabusele, and Lasorte, all in double digits in points already. Don't even know who those guys are, really. And they're crushing Canada with all this, right? Well, that's the thing. Like, we're sitting; these guys are crushing a Canadian team that, we've all talked was the second best, most talented roster coming this. But the FIBA rules do change some things. During the hangout, I was looking at the money line. Like, at one point, it was 125 or something for Canada. I'm like, maybe. But just watching how that half ended, then in the end, I'm not confident. I've seen enough basketball to go when you're playing that poorly through a half, and the other team, like, it's not even that the French are playing well, but they're also home, right? Like, and you could tell they are feeding from that crowd that is absolutely behind them. And I don't know what it's going to take for Canada to turn this around. Like, it feels like if they don't come out with a strong, like, 8-2 run to start the second half, I don't know if this is a hill Canada's going to be able to climb.
Yeah, it's got to have to be a quick start. And I think the big part is, yes, like I mentioned, SGA has been rolling, and they definitely need someone besides him to step up. They need some defensive stops. That's exactly what they need. It cannot, they got it to 10 at one point. That was that run of about, 10 minutes where SGA really did take over the game, and it seemed like he was starting to assert his dominance. They did get a few stops during that. It was just the fact of the matter is they'd get a big bucket and then come down the other end and either commit a foul. One of their bigs would go to the stripe, nail one or two of them, and then, you're back to square one. They got to get a defensive stop. If Wemby's going to be out there, he's in foul trouble. Gobert's in foul trouble. Like, attack those guys. Have to attack those guys. Get them out of the game. But with that being said, even when they're not in the game right now, it's still those other cast of characters that are killing them. It's a game of basketball. It's a game of runs. It's time for Canada to go on the run. They can get it within single digits early on. I think then you have a possibility here, but with any sort of, resemblance of how that first quarter went and even, that second half of the second quarter went, this team doesn't have a hope in hell of winning this basketball game.
Is this a case a little bit of, first Olympics in a long time for Canadian men's basketball? I know there's the World Cup last year, but just a lack of experience together, like lack of experience in this big stage, and they have to learn how to win.
I think that's the easy way out of saying it, but these guys are so talented. These guys have played together in the World Cup. They went undefeated during the round robin. They played some big games. I just think that this is just a France team that is playing well to what their coaching staff has laid out to them for their game plan. They're feeding off the crowd, and it's a little bit of Canada just shrinking in the moment. I think they're shrinking in the moment right now, and some of their big guys like SGA. I know Murray, we talked about it. He's injured. He's been coming off the bench. I think he's going to have to play a big part. RJ Barrett, be the RJ Barrett that we've seen throughout these Olympics. I don't want to give them the pass that it's a big game. They haven't been there in a long time. I really don't want to do it because when push comes to shove, this roster's too good to be getting knocked out in the quarterfinals.
To start the half, France nailed a three. This is already just not off a good start. Also, Jake in the nasty chat saying, haven't watched a second of Canada basketball until today. I'm sorry, everyone. So I'll just throw this out there, Jake. If that's the case, shut it off. You can't be watching another second the rest of the second half. It hasn't gone well. You threw it on. Take it off your TV. Follow it in the nasty chatter on Twitter. But for the sake of this country, you got to sacrifice now. You can't watch the second half. It's just that simple.
Strong agree. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
If Canada can't pull this together and get this failure, is that what we will call this? Or what do we call this if they don't medal?
I think it is a failure. I really do. I think when you look at the betting, I think you have to. You cannot continue to have the narrative. Well, we're almost there. Look, it would be totally different to me if they lost a game or two, maybe even the group stages. They squeak through. They run into a wagon that maybe is a USA or a Germany. And it's like, you know what? Lost to a veteran team, lost to the better team. It is what it is. Hey, we're great. We're there. I just think with the expectations that we had, with the roster that you look at, this is by far the most talented roster Team Canada has ever put together. And for the fact that they don't even get an opportunity, if all holds here, that they don't even get an opportunity to play for a medal, never mind a gold medal. If they don't even get into the semifinals to get into that bronze medal game, I think it's a failure. I think it's a massive failure. And I think it's from the top, from Canada basketball all the way to those players on the court. Let's not forget the big glaring concern with this team was the lack of elite bigs. And I know, okay, it's easier said than done. Those guys don't grow on trees. But that's certainly something that this team could need. Like a Zach Edey. How can you not convince a Zach Edey not to come? How do you not convince him to not to come? I know there's millions and millions of dollars on the line. Does Zach Edey make a difference in this game? Who knows? I don't know. But how is he not on this team? How can you not pry him away from his NBA team and say, listen, this is just as good as your development? I don't know. We might be, counting our chickens before the eggs hatch here, but I think this is a post-mortem that probably will start a little bit earlier, just with the way that this game is going. I hope this is a cold take exposed, and they do come back and win this game, and it's one of the best comebacks in Canadian sports history.
Yeah, but that's not a cold take exposing them, because ultimately, if they come back and win this game, they should have. We'll talk about a great comeback, but also they needed to win this. If they ultimately do lose, I'm with you. This is a failure. You can't go in boasting how you have the second most NBA players in the tournament, how you are the most talented roster after the Americans, and then not even get to a semifinal. To me, outside of having to have played the Americans in this round somehow, That would have been the only excuse I think I could have given Canada for not getting to a semifinals. I get the FIBA rules. I get there's a lot of other things at play, and this isn't the NBA. And we've seen that through this tournament, how these FIBA rules are different. But when you're this talented, you have to find a way to get some of these wins. And you got to find a way to get to the semifinals. And, yeah, you lose in the semifinals to Germany, and then you go fight for a bronze. Okay, we'll be disappointed, but you got to a bronze medal game. To not even have a chance to go for a medal at that point, it would be a failure. And I don't think that is Cool Take exposed. They have fourth quarter and 8 minutes of the third quarter to make sure that it's not a failure. For those that aren't watching right now, it is 48-34. So Canada down 14 with 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. So there's lots of time, and we'll see if they could turn this around. It'll be a damn shame if they don't. It'll be a damn shame if they don't.
Yeah, I think, and one more on this.
Yep.
I don't want to belabor the topic, too much here, but I do think you bring up a great point. Like, if they do end up losing next round to Germany, even if this game was a hard fought game, comes down to a last possession and they lose, I think just the fact of the matter is how flat, how unprepared they came out in this first quarter kind of just shows you whether them not being ready mentally, they took this France team lightly for some reason, or maybe they didn't game plan properly enough. I think that is one thing that makes this more disappointing. It would certainly still be disappointing if they come out in this game, they draw it back close, they lose in a one possession, two possession game. You can then go back and say, well, it's that first quarter. And what makes it that much more frustrating, that it just feels like the way that they started this game is so much more about them rather than a France team taking it to them and executing a great game plan.
I want to get to some of the other Canadians at the Olympics, but quickly want to go to the men's golf. We had a wild finish. Scotty Scheffler, he comes through. We were talking about it on Friday about how it looks like Xander was having the season. He was turning around. Maybe he's player of the year if he can go gets the gold. But Scotty Scheffler giving us the old hold on, just watch, and he goes out there. That was a fun final round that we had at the men's Olympics.
It was amazing. It was probably one of the best Sundays in golf, maybe of the year. Like, I think you could put that up there with some of the majors that we've seen. So certainly had the dramatics, had the leaderboard, had the star power, had the storylines. I thoroughly enjoyed it. As a Xander bettor, I certainly didn't enjoy that part. My Tommy Fleetwood to end up on the podium bet certainly cashed, which was great. Thank you.
Big silver.
But man, oh man, I mean, everything that we were doubting, and I'll say it, talking about, does Scotty have that killer instinct? Is Scotty okay with just being a family man? Well, he completely put any of those takes to rest. Like, what we saw him do on that Sunday proves that, okay, this is why everyone calls him a generational talent. This is why when you look at the analytics and you compare them against what Tiger did, it's just those wins. That's the thing. The marquee wins. Sure, yeah, elevated event on the PGA Tour, he's winning. It's one of the best seasons that we're seeing. But outside of the Masters, we were missing. Like, we were missing that marquee victory. Now, I think you have to safely say that Scotty certainly is the golfer of the year. Maybe if Xander goes on to win the FedEx playoffs, but I don't know what we saw from there, what we've seen throughout the regular season. It's hard not to argue. I think any doubters, which there weren't many, or even skeptics, I think it was proven that Scotty does have that killer instinct. He does have that edge. And what we saw on Sunday, man, for him to tie the course record is remarkable.
Is what we're seeing from Jon Rahm the fact that he's gone to live? Is this like completely impacting him? Because you listen to him afterwards, you listen to the comments, and you just point to, like, it seems like he's got regret about the move that he's made. He's got his money, but when it comes to wanting to just be a great golfer, it hasn't worked for him. Do you feel the same?
I don't think it's the whole thing, or I think it's certainly the major factor. I think there's some other things. I know he was dealing with some injuries earlier, But I certainly think so. Like, I think there is no doubt buyer's remorse when it comes to Rom and making that switch. I mean, when he looks at his bank account, I'm sure he's fine with it. But Rom has always been a fiery competitor. He's been a guy that wants to be the best. He lives, eats, breathes golf. Like, it is important to him. When he won in Augusta and became the first Spaniard, and I can't remember how many years, that was important to him. He's so proud and to be from Spain. And I think that also really hurt him as well, that it was, he wasn't even able to get a medal for his country. But, there's not many guys outside of Bryson, outside of Brooks, that have been able to flip that switch. Because you can say what you will, and I know Jon Rahm cried after his first victory on Live, and that's a whole different topic for another day. It just doesn't have that same, like, it's hard to get up for a Live a Golf event when it's a shotgun. You're allowed to wear shorts. They're playing music.
I don't think he likes the music.
Oh, no, he's made that right? Evidently.
Yeah, like that.
He doesn't like the music.
That's messing with him.
It's messing with him. And for you to be able to flip the switch, there's only a few guys that can do it. Bryson, it took him a while to do it. It wasn't until this year when we started to see him have success in those major events. Like, let's not forget, like, he missed the cut at Augusta after making the switch over from PGA Tour to Live. Brooks Koepka, that's kind of always been the guy he's been. He's never really cared about any PGA Tour events when he was on tour. It was just about the majors for him. So he always had that capability to just flip the switch. I think Jon Rahm is struggling to flip the switch. I think he's a guy that needs to compete, needs to have that fiery itch, and he's been missing it. It's not like he hasn't played well on Live. It's just you're not going up against the best, although there are a lot of really good golfers on Live. It's just different. It is totally different, and I think he's regretting it big time from a competitor standpoint. But at the end of the day, he's going to open up his bank account. He's going to look at the millions and millions and millions of dollars that he has, and he's going to be okay with it. But from a legacy standpoint, which I think means a lot to him, that's going to hurt at the end of the day. At the end of his career, I think it's going to be something that he regrets.
There's a lot of athletes out there that they like their money, but legacy matters. Legacy is important.
Yep.
And he's going to, I'm with you. I think that's the one he's going to look back and he'll be okay long term with his hundreds of millions, whatever he got from the Saudis. But in the end, knowing that he maybe, what he might have to sit there and be like, what could have been had I stuck on the PGA and it went that way. Canada at the Olympics, we saw Summer McIntosh just absolutely kill once again in the pool. We saw Zatzberg just completely eliminate any doubt in that hammer throw. What was the bigger one for you watching? Was it like where it just got you a little more? Like, which one was a bigger thing for you to watch? Summer once again, or was it Zatzberg? Because like that first throw we had, it took away all the like enjoyment almost out of it because you're like, well, no one's coming close. Let's just award him the gold, but we still have to watch all these throws.
I think it's got to be Summer McIntosh. I think it's a little bit of a longer play because again, we've known about her. There's been this hype, the summer games, the fact that she basically did it in her sleep, like it was like automatic for her to do it. So the buildup was there. I think that's where, like from an actual moment standpoint, I think that's it there because he gets up there, absolutely launches that thing. And it's like, okay, well, this is over. He's got the mustache. He's got his dad up in the stand. So like from a true like moment standpoint, I think I enjoyed that moment more. But from what Summer McIntosh does, I think when we look back at her career or look back at these Olympic Games, we're going to really remember this as the Summer Games. And she is so far from being over. Like LA is going to be awesome because she's going to be in her prime.
She'll be 21.
She's going to be looking to. It's nuts.
Like that's the
absolutely
crazy.
insane.
She's going to be 21 in 4 years. That's it. That's when she's going to be massive.
And it's going to be in LA. It's going to be prime time here in North America. America is going to pump even more money into their swimming program to take her down, and she's going to do it on their home soil. So I think like as awesome as this summer has been, like let's fast forward to LA 28 because that is going to be pure electricity.
Okay. Here's something. Does she get the closing ceremony's flag bearer role, or do you save it for 28 and she gets the opening ceremony's flag bearer role?
I think you have to give it to her, man. I think if she wants it, I think you got to give it to her. I think you give it to her, and heck, maybe you give her the opening. She closes, and then she opens the next one. I know. I don't know how often it happens either. It's something that we'd have to look up, but I mean, hell, she deserves it, man. She is the face of Canada Olympics for the next 2 Olympics, and we're going to be talking about her for a very long time.
I'm just trying to see if I can quickly look to see if there's they break it up between opening and closing. So Andre DeGrasse, I think, was the closing. No, he wasn't. No, I thought DeGrasse maybe closed 2020, but he was Damian Warner.
Yes, yeah, it was.
Penny Oleksiak did not do both. I think it's a pretty rare thing to be able to do both. Clara Hughes, maybe? Is she on both sides? I don't see Clara Hughes on here. Adam Van Koeverden did it once. Adam Van Koeverden, he was the opening of 2008. He also closed 2004. So it's not unprecedented when it comes to our country. So then, yeah, I'm with it. Like
Clara Hughes might have like closed a Summer Olympics and then opened up a Winter Olympics, or vice versa. I mean,
no, she's only on the list at once. She
really
opened, She opened in 2010, but she's not listed as a closer from what I could see here.
Interesting. So yeah, that is pretty wild to me that hasn't happened. And
Simon Whitfield closed in 2000. He opened in 2012. So there was a big gap.
Okay.
Big gap.
Big gap.
Those two.
Okay.
So
more of a lifetime achievement than anything. But if anyone can do it, it's going to be Summer. And I think she has proven over this Olympics that, what she was able to do, breaking all these records. Why would you not? Maybe there might be something a little more sentimental that might pop up over the next, 4 years that we may consider it. But I think it's hers to close, hers to open. She's the face of Team Canada for the foreseeable future.
The only thing I could say that might take it away, and this now look, Canada men's basketball, they're within 8. 54-46, 3 to go in the third quarter, within 8. If the Canadians go and get this comeback, and they go on and they win the gold, does someone from Canadian men's basketball take over and get the closing ceremonies because they went and they won gold? I'm gonna because we were talking, we were full, this is over, disaster, but I'm gonna flip it the other way quickly here and go, let's say we go on this run and we knock down the Americans and take gold. Does SGA also become our closing ceremonies? Because as good as Summer was, and these will be the Summer Olympics, she won the 3. That's the thing we're going to talk about.
Dusty's not going to like it, but if this epic comeback does come back, let's say in this fantasy land, they do knock off the Americans, it's got to be Dylan the Villain Brooks. He's got to be the one. Right in LeBron's face.
He messed with LeBron the entire game. It got us the goal. Dylan Brooks is going to wave that Canadian flag at the closing ceremonies. That would be the only person I could go with that maybe over Summer. But yeah, it was one like if it hadn't happened before, I personally would have saved her for 2028 to be the opener, because to me there's more prestige in opening.
For sure.
But yeah, I'd say right now she gets both. Give her closing here.
Yeah.
Let her walk out the athletes in London or in LA, because, again, 17 years old and 3 golds. Like, how cool must that feel to know you're not 18 yet? You're not even able to drink in Canada, and you though have 3 Olympic gold medals in individual events. Like, it's not even team stuff. Like, you went out and did it yourself. Just
absolute
ridiculous.
Beast, man. Just amazing.
Anything else Olympics-wise that you want to touch on with Coolbet, or shall we move on to the Canadian Football League a little bit here?
Just one quick note, I guess, in Olympics, talking about our Canadians. We did talk about golf. The golf isn't over. Let's keep in mind Brooke Henderson still looking to see if she can bring home some hardware for Team Canada. Right now, you can go to the odds. The odds are up. We do have a bunch of different ones right now. Brooke Henderson to win gold, 16-1. Nelly Corda, heavy favorite right now at plus 450. But a bet that I really like, Henderson to medal, plus 450. So tough task. Obviously, women's golf there with Nelly Korda, just with how good she is. I mean, it's like what we're seeing with Scotty Scheffler, but probably even more dominant. Might be tough to dethrone her. But we know Brooke Henderson is an elite talent. I think from all things that I've read is that this should be a good course fit for her. So big opportunity for her. Maybe, hey, if she was to win gold, maybe she puts her name into possible flag bearers on the way out for the closing ceremonies. But I'm definitely going to have my eyes on this. Just the fact that Nelly Korda has been so much fun to watch on the LPGA tour, but then obviously being biased, being a hometown hero with Brooke Henderson. So I'm probably going to bet her 16-1. But the one that I really, really like is for her to finish inside the top 3 at plus 450.
Also, 200-meter men's, it goes tomorrow. Noah Lyles,
Yep.
clear favorite, minus 714 after being named the world's fastest man this weekend. Andre DeGrasse, 5th best odds, plus 4,000. He is an older runner, but maybe there's some magic there. Maybe there's some magic left with him. That, again, goes tomorrow. And if you're looking just for medals right now, I think the women's hammer throw is supposed to be underway. And we have a medal hopeful there. So
yes, we do.
Yeah, that gets going in about a half hour's time. So once the men's basketball is over, you can flip to the hammer. Update on men's basketball coming up in the last minute of the third quarter. 60-49, France leads Canada. So they're going to need a nice run in the fourth quarter. Let's get to the CFL. And I know the boys do the guessing at the lines for this week. Now, I haven't looked at any of the odds at Coolbet yet. I've stayed away because I'll take a chance at this. I'll take a crack at this.
Okay.
Because what?
Let's do it.
Three of the 4 are on Coolbet right now.
So now all 4 are now up. So we did manage to get the Elks Lions game up. So yeah, let's go through it. Maybe I'll tee you up because full transparency. I have seen the line, so I won't participate. But yeah, let's guess the spread. So we'll start things off. Saskatchewan Roughriders taking on the Ottawa Red Blacks. We know the Roughriders coming off that disappointing loss. Where do you think the spread lies here?
Well, some say disappointing loss. Others will look at that and say a huge win for the Edmonton Elks.
Very true.
The Riders, they're going on the road. See, I'm not experienced like Dusty and Huss with this, so this is so unique to me. They haven't been playing well. Red Blacks are rolling. I'm going to say right now the Red Blacks maybe 2.5-point favorites.
Very close, 2 right now.
Okay.
Red Blacks -2. Money line a little bit closer there. Ottawa -133, and the Rough Riders +110 on the money line. The total for that one is set at 48.5.
I'll be
nice.
Good start for me. I'll be doing my picks with Huss on
Yes.
Thursday right off the bat. I'm liking the Riders number right. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, me too. All right. So next up, Calgary taking on Toronto. This game in Toronto. Where do you think the spread lies on this one?
I hate this game. I didn't know what to think of these two teams going into last week. It played out in the end. We were so close, but I said Calgary just because they're a home team, but now they're the road team. They struggle on the road. I don't know how that plays into that. I'm going to say the Argos are favorite by 1.5 points.
Close.
Is it Stamps?
It's 1.5, but the Stamps are the road favorites. Yeah, road favorites. And the money line is so close here. Calgary -114, the Argos -106.
Okay.
Usually when we get these like 1.5s, like there's a chance, depending on where the money comes in, like Toronto could end up being a 1.5 favorite by Thursday afternoon. Like when they're within the 1.5 margin, even 3 or 2 sometimes, we'll see it completely flip. Just take a look at the money line, and when it's that close, that's kind of when you could see it could be. Me personally, if it's if you're looking at betting a team at -1.5 or betting a team +1.5 at this point, just get the better number and just go money line. So close one there. All right. Next up, it is the Hamilton Tiger Cats heading to Montreal, taking on the Alouettes. Where's
Owls
the
just
spread
hammered
on
them.
this
The
week's?
Owls just dominated them last week. And now it's going to Montreal. So there's that little extra. I'm going to say, well, easily Owls. I don't see how the Ticats are going to be favored in this one. I'm just wondering how big it could be. I'm going to stick with 6.5.
Close. The Owls, big favorite, the biggest spread. So maybe a little bit of a spoiler for the next game, but biggest spread by far, -7.5.
See, and I was
So
debating between 7.5 and a 6.5. Damn.
it's all right. That was really close. The total for that one, 50.5. Slightly to the over there. Money line, Hamilton +285. The Alouettes -370. And of course, you guys, and I mean, to be quite honest, I think a lot of folks across the CFL fans will be wondering how this game goes. There's some injury concerns for BC.
Yeah.
The Elks saw that big victory.
We'll talk right away about that.
Do you think the spread is there?
See, and I'm going to guess there's still going to be some credit given to the BC Lions even without Vernon Adams. That I'm going to say that they are a favorite at 2.
No.
The Elks are a favorite.
The Elks are. So here's the thing. They are technically the favorite at -1, but the money line -110 both sides. So this is a pick 'em, a coin flip game, whatever you want to call it. So that one's a little bit tricky for you because technically the money line does indicate that it is a pick 'em game. So me personally, I'm looking forward to this game. We know what time it is. BC, obviously, no big play VA. This is a massive, massive prove it point for the Elks.
Very much so. Like, this is a situation where, they just won their first game of the season. And on the post-game show on there this weekend, like, I didn't want to get too ahead of myself, but I was getting too ahead of myself because I'm like, there's a chance they could win 3 straight here. They beat the Riders. They now get a BC Lions team without Vernon Adams. Like, that's the big change in all of this. They get a team that is, without their star quarterback. Now, they have a great receiving core, but it doesn't seem like Keon Hatcher coming back in that lineup helped them last week. It actually caused more problems for them. And then it's Hamilton the week after. That if this Elks team can play like they did against that Rider team, there's a potential run here of 3 straight victories. And it was also is this a team where they just needed that one win to get it off their backs, and they're going to be able to go get those victories? Like, look, the thing with Trey Ford, let Trey cook was the big thing for me last week. Trey time, baby. Everything that everyone thought the Elks offense could be with Trey Ford, we saw it this past weekend. He opened up the running game for their running back, and it was Javon Leake this past weekend who was the beneficiary of that. 169 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, it was ridiculous. I don't know if you saw the stat the Elks posted or a few other people posted. He was faster than anyone in the NFL last year in just clock speed. He was faster than Tyreek Hill, all that. Like, he's just ridiculously fast. You have Trey Ford, who ran quite well. He made some really good plays. Blitzes were coming. He got around them. Sometimes it was just for a yard, but it was better than losing 10. And then his passing was there. Like, he hit Tevin Jones in stride in the pocket. Like, he even stepped up, drilled it to him, got that big touchdown that he looked like a full quarterback. And then on top of that, there's a spark to this team you could feel when Trey Ford was there, and we saw the defense step up. So this team feels different. But was that just one game? And that's where you got to go do it again. And it's not going to be easy with BC. They've got a pretty decent defense themselves. I see why it's a pick 'em. I still think BC should be the favorite, though. And I think that line. I think that line shifts by the time this week plays out. That BC might be the favorite going into this game.
Yeah. I 100% agree. You make a ton of great points, but as an outsider watching that game, like, I could not believe I'm watching this game. I'm watching Trey, and I'm like, how has this guy not been starting earlier? Like, it is crazy to me. It is absolutely crazy to me. And yes, it's one game or 1.5 games, whatever you want to call his other appearance after when he took over for MBT. But like, I mean, sometimes in football, man, like, You get a different quarterback, you catch lightning in a bottle, the group gets confident, they start playing for their guy. And you said it, like maybe it's just that one win is something that they needed. It's their schedule is looking favorable. Like, yeah, sure, you're going up against a good BC Lions team, but I mean, without Vernon Adams, like their offense looks completely different. I think their defense is not really as good as maybe it has seen because their offense is so good. And then you mentioned, Hamilton the next week. Like, yeah, you're not crazy. Like they could rattle off 3 wins in a row here and be right back into the thick of things here. Or it could be, there's more tape out on Ford and, they're able to game plan them a little bit better. Like you got to assume there's going to be a drop off, but how big can that drop off be?
And the one thing I'll say about the tape is like last season, they did lose their last 4 games with Trey Ford as their quarterback. But Trey Ford has played 10 games last season. He had a couple of other starts the year prior. There's tape now. Like, I don't think there's anything new people are going to fully learn about Trey Ford outside of actually he's better as a passer. Like, that was something he needed to improve on. But it's not like this is a guy that just, played his second or third game ever. There is now quite a bit of film, I would say, for defensive coordinators to game plan against him. And he was still able to go do that against a really good Riders defense. And that's the thing where it just comes down to, will Trey Ford continue to just develop a little bit more as a throwing quarterback? Because that's the thing he needs to be. Is he needs to think pass first and then run second, and that's where he's going to excel as a quarterback, not run first. And I think last game we saw him hit his second receiver. Like it was first guy wasn't there. He hit his second guy, and that's what you want to see. And that's where it becomes scary for defensive coordinators because I don't know how you game plan for that. If this guy can throw, he could run as well. And then that opens up their running game. Like it's almost impossible to stop. And it's just at a point where can we contain this team and could our offense put up a lot of points? But a lot of people here in Edmonton too are with you, Pat, where it's why did it take this guy this long to start? Because they're won now. It's 9 games over the last 2.5 seasons, and Trey Ford has been the starting quarterback in 6 of them.
It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts, man. And you bring up a great point about him. He didn't look like just an athletic quarterback under center. Like you totally nailed it. Like he was going through his progressions. His arm looked great. There was touch. It's not just a guy with a super strong arm. Like there was a lot of really nice touch passes as well. And I really buy into the fact that it seems like this group really likes him. It seems that he's, a really likable guy in that locker room. They want to play for him. And we've seen it in the game of football. Like a team can rally. Like if you have a good locker room, teams can rally around these things. And I think this could be it. I think he's going to get his opportunity. And I think the team is in a much better spot than they were a couple of weeks ago. And you string a couple of wins together, and you've seen it in the CFL. Like it's such a small league where it's easy to leapfrog teams. Am I saying, this is a team that's going to make the playoffs? I don't know, but it's a team that certainly could put themselves at least in the race and show that, hey, there is something with this core, with this group going forward. We can build towards something, and we're not just going to lose every single game for the rest of the year.
I'm with you. Like I'm not going to jump and say Grey Cup or anything like that. There's maybe a path to getting the playoff conversation we're looking at here. Although where we were doing our post-game show, this guy immediately looks to Jay and I after, and he's like, I'm betting them for Grey Cup. And we're like, okay. Like, good luck with that one. He's like, I'm doing it right now. We're like, okay, have fun. Like, not sure I'll go there yet, but if you're that confident after what you saw, all power to you. All power to you. This is the Lock Shop. Matthew Iwanyk, Pat Gregoire with you here. Men's basketball update. They just went to a commercial. I want to see if I could go back here. I'll just go to my app here. 63-55, 6:40 to go for France. So it's 65-55, 6:22 to go. So it's still a 10-point ball game. Ken, I think, got it within like 5 or 6 points. But France has extended that lead. So they need a big run quickly here. They're not a lot of runway left at all. We did very briefly talk some NFL futures on Friday. Do you want to get into a little bit more NFL futures right now?
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to also just kind of go through what is available at Coolbet as well. Like there are a lot of futures that you can dive into. So if you go down, like week one lines are already up there, folks. So like if you want to get it early, if there's a line that you like already early on, you can bet that. So scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the futures there. Click on that tab. There's conference winners, there's division, obviously Super Bowl winner, league leaders. So you can bet on most rushing yards right now. Christian McCaffrey plus 250, heavy favorite. Patrick Mahomes plus 550 to lead the NFL in most passing yards. You can do most receiving yards. Tyreek Hill plus 650 and CD Lamb plus 650 for that. Click on awards, regular season MVP, defensive rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, which we talked about on Friday, coach of the year, defensive player of the year. You've got rushing props, passing props for most of the starting quarterbacks, regular season wins, team playoffs, and then, of course, the receiving props there as well. I don't know necessarily if I'm like giving out a pick here, but like, I was looking at to make and miss the playoffs, and some of these numbers, and I know the team looks different this year. It's a very weak division, but the fact that the Atlanta Falcons are minus 225 to make the playoffs, like only Kansas City Chiefs, the San Francisco 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Cincinnati Bengals have better odds for them to make the playoffs.
Raheem Morris is also favorite for coach of the year on Coolbet.
I did see that, and that is a bet that I think this is something that we always talk about on the Lock Shop. Like the book, every year there'll be one or two teams that the book really likes. And I think this year it is the Atlanta Falcons. I know you bring in Kirk Cousins. I know you have a new coach. I know that division is super, super weak and has been weak for a long time. But to me, that is something that, like, the Detroit Lions, minus 222. The Philadelphia Eagles, minus 222. The Buffalo Bills, minus 175. Yet the Falcons, minus 225 to make the playoffs. Plus 182 to miss. Am I going to bet them to miss the playoffs at 182? Probably not, because that division is so bad. To me, I just thought it was crazy to see that number that high, or that low, I guess you could say, for them to make the playoffs. The book is that confident that they are going to be playing postseason football this year.
Yeah, and that, to me, you said it there at the end. It's the division part to that. Like, it's the fact that they think that, they're the Bucks, the Saints, and the Panthers aren't doing anything, so they're going to easily win that division and automatically your playoff spot. Because Saints are plus 175, Bucks are plus 150, Panthers plus 450. So it's that's with that screaming. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not sold on Atlanta yet. I'm not sold on Kirk Cousins as a quarterback. Like I don't think he's good enough to lose. I don't know. Maybe he can get to the playoffs, I guess.
But like, I mean, look what the Bucks were able to do last year. Like,
I just don't. I'm not betting on Kirk Cousins. That's what it comes down to for me. I'm based on his whole, like, he's not a guy I'm going to spend money on and be like, this is a guy I'm going to believe in, even if it is just to make the playoffs.
But this is why and again, I'm not saying like I agree, and I'm also not saying like I'm not rushing to the sportsbook right now at Coolbet.com to bet them to miss the playoffs at plus 182. Just when I was looking through it, my biggest takeaway was like, holy crap, the sportsbook, Vegas, and Coolbet seem to believe that this Falcons team is going to be that much better than they were last year. Like, to me, I don't see it. Like, I do not see it. I understand with the numbers, like with the Bills being minus 175, the Jets minus 169, the Dolphins minus 152. Like, that's a case where I'm assuming they assume, one of those teams are going to win the division. The other two are going to get in with a wild card spot. Like, that's that division is setting up to be quite competitive. And a lot of it, yes, does go into your division, because if you can win your division, you obviously automatically make it in.
You get a home date even.
To me, it's like, how do you have that much confidence in a team that has, over the past how many years, have proven to you that they are not that good of a team Get a new coach. Kirk Cousins is there. Like, I don't know. To me, that was crazy. I thought that was crazy. I know a lot of people are really high on them. Hey, they might make the playoffs, but just I don't think they deserve the credit that they're getting right now, to be quite frank.
When I look at some of the player props, now I'm a Ravens fan, so take that for what it is here when it comes to this. But I was looking at Derrick Henry's total rushing touchdowns this year, and it's set at 10.5. In the last 6 seasons with the Titans, only one time did he get 10 touchdowns or less. Like his lowest rushing TD or touchdowns in the last 6 years was 10. It was 12, 16, 17, 10, 13, 12. To be at 10.5, that means he's 11 or more. This is a Ravens team that they're bringing in Derrick Henry for a reason. He's going to add a little bit more. He's going to get some of those touches right near the end zone too, I believe, to punch them in. They've struggled at times over the years, also punching it in right away there, so I think they're going to rely heavily on him for that. But when I see 10.5 as the over-under for him getting touchdowns this season, I do like that one. I think he's a guy that's going to get more than that with his new football team in the Baltimore Ravens because like they wanted him at the deadline last year. It's going to open up things. And with Lamar's, like it's like the Trey Ford conversation. With Lamar's legs, and what he can do with his arm and his legs, I think that opens up the rushing a little bit as well. So Derrick Henry may be a little rejuvenated. That's one I'm looking at on Coolbet in the rushing props. Do you ever like betting the under with these props? Because
I think they're to be.
I think Huss was saying in the CFL season he likes the under more than overs.
Yes, Huss is a big time unders guy. I'll be honest, I hate doing it because you know. When you bet the over, your bet's never dead. And I know that's probably not the best mindset to have when it comes to gambling, but like you're never out of it. Whereas the under, you're cheering against a guy. Don't know necessarily if you want to, but I think when if you look back, I don't have the data in front of me, but like more unders hit than the overs do. And I think if you're looking for an actual financial way to become profitable with futures, the under is where you're going to make money. Sure, the over is more fun. Pick some of your favorite players, hit that over. You can cheer. It's a lot more entertaining. But Huss is right. Like it's more likely for these unders to hit, and there is going to be, especially the NFL, man. There's so much hype around a lot of these guys. The media hype around it is crazy. So I think that there is an opportunity where you can kind of pick up on some where you can hit that under. But for me, I don't know, man. I just, I can't do it. It's not as fun.
It's not as fun.
It's not as fun.
Unless I guess it's like you take the team that you hate and you bet the unders on their players. Because maybe you have no problem cheering against those teams. Like for you, like at least with, who would be like? Do you still hate the Patriots? Is that the team you hate, or would it be the Chiefs now? As a Bills fan,
it's a great question. I think you'll always hate the Patriots. Like now, it's the fact that they're
crap.
It's not the old Patriots. It's not the Patriots, and I'm like it took me a second to say that because I'm so battered and bruised and injured from the Patriots over the years. I feel like at any moment of flip of the switch and the bad Patriots are going to be coming knocking and they're going to be great again. But I think for sure now that the two biggest rivals that you'd have to say are probably Kansas City because of just the history with the playoffs. And then the next two would probably be, the Bengals are a team that's given the Bills a ton of fits. Joe Burrow, like, Josh Allen against Burrow, a lot of folks say they rather Burrow. And then when you go inside the division, I think it's the Dolphins. I think there have been some great battles in the regular season. Miami's been able to knock off Buffalo, but when it comes to the playoffs, that's where Buffalo's had the upper hand. So I think there's a nice rivalry kind of rebrewing over the last few years there. The Jets, again, like the Jets last year, I think that's who everyone was looking forward with Aaron Rodgers, coming. But obviously they still beat the Bills in that opening game somehow. But yeah, I'd probably say Chiefs are one, and then maybe two would be Miami. But there's always going to be hatred when it comes to the Patriots. There's no doubt about that. And I know Jake's in the comments probably saying something right now. He's a Patriots fan, unfortunately.
Yeah, he just says go Pats. Really? Like Very bland.
He's in shambles right now, man. He is in absolute shambles right now.
Well, his team might get Ayuk here.
That's actually
the latest I saw was Browns or Pats who had the best packages, and the 49ers are waiting to see if he wants either of those two spots.
The Patriots makes a ton of sense. It didn't make a ton of sense to me, but the Browns, I was kind of surprised. I don't know where the Browns keep getting this cap space from, but like they already got a couple of really nice targets there. I know that's another target for Deshaun Watson, and it's crazy that they're going into this season with him as their quarterback. But I mean, when you're financially tied to him as much as you can, you kind of have no choice. But I mean, I think this Browns team, I saw they were plus money to make the playoffs. That would be a team that I'd be, maybe thinking of. I think your guys' division is an absolute meat grinder. I think it's probably the toughest division in football. That's the only downfall of it, but I don't know. I think they're a team, but then again, I'm not putting money on Deshaun Watson to make the playoffs. Like if he's anything that he looked like, in the last couple of years, no, thank you. If he can somehow find the same level of play that we saw in Houston, then yeah, the Browns should be a damn good team. I just don't know if it's there anymore. I don't know if all the off-field stuff has gotten to him and he's not where he once was, but I don't know if I really would want to put any money, any trust into the hands of Deshaun Watson right now.
I'll just add on to that, and it's also you're believing that in the Cleveland Browns have completely figured it out, and they're just going to be good for a number of years or something. Like this is the Cleveland Browns. They're going to mess it up somehow. They always do. This is who they are. They are not a team that goes and wins and is successful. They're a team that just messes up. So that's the other part to this, and yeah, but that is a tough division because like with the Steelers, and they have the worst to make the playoffs at plus 190, but it's Mike Tomlin. Like this guy finds a way to win. This guy doesn't go below 500. He's just an unreal coach. I absolutely hate him for it, but I respect the hell out of him because of what he's done. So it is a tough division. But yeah, like Jake thinks that with the Pats, if they get Ayuk, he says plan the parade. I don't know if you saw that. So he's
here we go.
That's what we have
back.
To deal with.
He's back to
deal with. Pat, these were fun 2 shows with you here on the Lock Shop on Friday and today. Yeah, but you'll be back with Huss later this week or tomorrow. Will you be on tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'll be back on.
Golf?
We'll be on. Yeah, I'll be on. Yes, it's the Wyndham Championship. A little bit of a lighter field. Obviously, a lot of the top names taking the week off with Paris, just getting back from Paris. But this is a big tournament for any of the guys on tour that haven't qualified for the FedEx playoffs. This is the last week to get there. So there is going to be a heavy push for some of these guys to get inside that. The purses completely elevate in that FedEx playoff. So it's lots of money to be had. And as we've said on the Lock Shop, some of these lesser field events, there's actually more opportunity to get some really good value on some of these longer shot golfers. So I'm excited for it. No, I think we're going to take a look at some of the women's Olympic odds as well. Actually, no, I think it tees off tomorrow morning. Okay, I'm going to have to tweet out a couple of picks then.
I kind of left that because I thought you guys would have had them. Is that tomorrow?
It is. I totally forgot they tee off on the Wednesday instead of the Thursday. They're teeing off, I think so at least. No, wait, it's at least what I can see here. It is tomorrow. Shoot.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, tomorrow morning. Well,
some of my picks already talked about Brooke Henderson on the podium, but we'll get some picks out there for sure.
Well, thanks for doing this again, and thanks to everyone for tuning in to the Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes here on Edmonton Sports Talk. It is 2 guys and a goalie, myself, Matt Cassidy, and Joaquin Gage. We'll be here on your clear choice for Edmonton Sports on YouTube, iHeartRadio, tune in at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Pat, this was great. Go watch the end of that Canadian men's basketball game. A minute to go, so down only 6. Fingers crossed. See ya, Pat.
Go Canada.
Go Canada. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Talk to you very soon.